Greetings, heroes. Welcome to my keep. You are most welcome here. I am Sir Matthew, your host. Today, I thought I'd talk about knighthood at Bicolline. As knighting ceremonies are becoming more and more popular and more knights are being made, maybe you think to yourself, what more can I do as a knight to help serve? Or, if you're not a knight yet, maybe you aspire to be one and you're wondering about your journey, your path of how to achieve the accolade. Well, here I am to help. I'm an old knight with plenty of experience at Bicolline, and maybe, if you're ready, sit back, relax, and let this old knight share his opinion on what makes a good knight. Knights at Bicolline are sometimes knighted for one of two things. It's either for non-military service or military service. Non-military service sometimes includes administrative duties, right? But I mostly focus on training knights to be military. So, knighthood. Let's get into it. I read a book called The Facets of Chivalry, right? And it was a series of essays written by dukes and ladies in the SCA who wrote what chivalry and knighthood meant to them and how I could achieve knighthood. And I was really inspired by a passage written by a duke who said, to be a good knight, you need to fight like a knight, look like a knight, and act like a knight. And I thought, well, now it doesn't seem so complicated. That seems things that I can do. Look like a knight. How do I do that? Well, if we're all going to play dress up, it's easier for people to identify you as a knight if you look like one. So personally, I like the historical kit, right? When I was in the SCA, it meant that I can use my SCA kit to do Bicolline stuff, and it meant my Bicolline stuff I could do SCA. I've always preferred early period knights over later period knights. Yes, I know the late Renaissance knight is the classical knight in shining armor, right? But to me, right, that represents a knight that was no longer dominant on the battlefield. At the Battle of Crécy, at the Battle of Agincourt, right, French knights rode to their doom under the longbow and the crossbow. So, to me, the 12th century knight, the 13th century knight, right, to me, that represents a time where knights on the battlefield were dominant and they were the kings of battle. Okay, so now you look like a knight, but can you fight? I mean, you can write a backstory saying you're a sword master, but are you really? Are you really? I take my influence from the Book of Chivalry, and in it says, to be a good knight, one should prepare for war. Well, how do I do that? Well, it mostly means finding a weekly practice, right? Find a place near you, find a local practice that you can get to readily and attend it almost every week, right? And I suppose that should be a good thing. Like, if you like sword fighting and you want to get better at it, there is no substitute other than constant practice. And I think while you're there, always be hungry to learn more. Always seek people who are better than you. I know for myself, right, I've always sought people better than myself, and I try to learn from my mistakes. I'll get into training or how to train later on in a different video, right? But needless to say, at Bicolline, there are great fighters that have pushed me and made me a better knight. I feel a knight should also be a veteran on the battlefield. And for that, there is no substitute to just raw experience. A knight should experience campaigns, skirmishes, and battles as many times as possible. Campaign after campaign, year after year, battle after battle, there is no substitute than just raw experience fighting over and over and over again. It's through this a knight will learn how battle lines work, when to push, when to flank, how to maneuver, when to fall back, right? You just can't learn it any other way. So, you can fight, and now you look like a knight. But Are you fun to hang out with? Knightly virtues. Let's get into it. I'm not that stringent when it really comes to knightly virtues. I think I like to simplify. There's parts of chivalry that can exist in everyday life, right? And I feel that we can bring that onto the field of Bicolline. For example, courtesy, right? Just be a decent friend to your other friends, right? Just be a nice guy, right? Honor, just try to stick up and do the things you say you're going to do, right? And as far as courage goes, or valor, right? Just stick to the things you believe in and keep true to your word, right? I think these are things that exist ideologically in chivalry, but I don't think they are too difficult to perform in real life. As perfect as the virtues of chivalry are, I feel sometimes people are not, right? Every one of us will fail at something at some point. But I feel what makes a true knight is the desire to go back to the path of chivalry, even if you fail in something that you're trying to uphold.